Hi everyone, this is Jim. I was going over my games from a recent tournament and I came across an interesting bit of chess tactics I thought I would share with you. So this is a position from one of my games. I have the white pieces here and I blundered a pawn earlier, so I'm just down a pawn for not enough compensation. Maybe I have a little bit with the bishop pair and he's got an isolated pawn, but probably not enough. Anyway, it's my turn to move. He just played the knight here to attack my queen. And I don't really want to give up this good bishop here, so I move my queen to c2. And this is a counterattacking move. I'm taking a look at that knight. I've got two pieces attacking it, and he only has one knight defending it. So I'm threatening to take that piece. And there are various moves that black can play here. He can just move the knight away, if nothing else. But he played a tricky move here. He played bishop to f5, and this actually is a mistake. So as a little warm-up tactic, this is not the main point of the video, but this is just a warm-up. See if you can spot the best move for white in this position. Okay, it's not too hard to spot, so if you haven't found it, really, you should pause the video here and look at it until you get it. This is the kind of thing you ought to be able to spot even in a blitz game, so see if you can find it. I'm going to give the answer away now. So the best move here is knight to h4, hitting the bishop. So that takes away any possibility of discoveries. I guess there was this sort of vague threat of knight takes g3, attacking my rook and with defending the bishop, which can then attack my queen. But this knight to h4 move just puts a stop to all that. I can answer that with knight takes bishop. And also his knight here is still hanging. So I'm not sure if the knight g3 tactic worked in any case, but after knight h4 he's going to lose some material no matter what he does, because he's got basically two pieces hanging, the bishop hanging and the knight hanging over here. So he played the move bishop to d7. He just dropped back here, and I went ahead and took the knight. And he played the move rook to c8, pinning my bishop. And this is the point I wanted to get to, because in the game I could not figure out how to unpin the bishop and save it and stay a piece up. And in the end I ended up playing b4, which allowed me to give up the bishop and win a pawn through some sequence of moves. I think I got this pawn, but and the game ended up about even after that, and it turned into a draw. But I didn't have to play like that. There is a good move here, and so this is the real exercise. So why don't you stop the video here and think about this position for a while. Keep in mind this was a slow game, so in game in 2 hours, if you have a critical position that is going to make the difference between winning and not, it's worthwhile spending 20 or 30 minutes on it maybe. So take your time, look at this position, see if you can figure out some way that I can remain a piece up in this position. Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. So let's talk about the whole concept of unpinning. We have the pinned piece, and then we have the piece that it's pinned against, in this case the queen. And so the piece it's pinned against, the queen, that's the piece, if you can move it with tempo, that's one of the surest ways to unpin. So for example, if there were a line open to the king where the queen could deliver a check, or if the king were somewhere exposed, then I could move the queen with check, unpin the bishop, and on the next move, move the bishop away from the glare of those pieces. It is under attack twice. But in this position, there doesn't seem to be any way to get to the king. No sacrifice that opens up a line against the king. The second way to unpin is to attack something of equal or greater value. So if there were a loose piece on the board, if this were loose or if this were loose, I could maybe move my queen and attack that piece, and then that would buy me the time I needed to unpin my bishop, or maybe it would result in a trade, but there doesn't seem to be any loose piece yet. But maybe there's a tactical sequence that can create a loose piece. So that's your big hint if you want to. If you didn't get it before and you want to think about it again, that's one more big hint. And then I'm going to give the answer away. So pause now if you want to think. Okay, So the sequence starts with the move, bishop takes knight. That's kind of a logical move. I mean, first of all, it's one of the pieces that was attacking the bishop, so it's one less piece I have to worry about. Now it's just down to one attacker and one defender. It's still pinned. I haven't dealt with the pinning situation just yet, but I've gotten rid of one of the attackers. And he does have to take the bishop. He can't, for example, try and win my bishop immediately with a move like b6, attacking the pinned piece, because then I'll just retreat this bishop, give this one up, and I'll just stay a piece up. So he takes the bishop. And now the second key move is rook to d1. Rook to d1 attacks the bishop. And this bishop, which formerly was a defended piece, is now actually a loose piece. A piece that's attacked once and defended once is actually loose because it just takes one more attacker to bring on the to turn it into a hanging piece, to graduate it from a loose piece to a hanging piece. So, for example, if he plays queen c7, trying to win my bishop, I can go queen d2, and he takes the bishop, I take his bishop, and I stay a piece up. So that's a simple continuation. There are more complicated ideas here, and let's just explore a few of them. So b6, trying to win my bishop right away with the pin. Once again, queen d2. And of course, if you take the bishop, if black takes the bishop, I will take his bishop because that bishop is now loose. He could try and move his loose piece with tempo by playing bishop h3. But this doesn't actually work either because I have queen to e3 too. Here I can just step aside with my queen and unveil the rook attacking his queen. And unfortunately his queen, if you look at all the moves the queen has, they're going to be on these dark squares. Wherever it goes, it either is going to come under attack, is either already under attack, like if it went here, it'd be under attack, or here, it would be under attack, or any other square, I can move my bishop and attack the queen. So I buy myself some time to save my rook. So I still remain a piece up in this line as well. So b6 doesn't work. Queen c7 doesn't work. b6 doesn't work. You could try defending the bishop, but there's no good way to defend it. For example, if he plays rook e7, I can just take that. Now my queen is hanging, but his queen is hanging. And if he takes the bishop, then I will just step aside with my queen, and now I'm gone from being a piece up to being a rook up. Let's see. Or he could try and defend with the other rook. Back up. He could try and defend with the other rook, but this doesn't work either because once again I attack his bishop. His bishop is defended at the moment, but if he takes my bishop, then his bishop is undefended, so he can't actually win my bishop. And any other move, then I just retreat my bishop. So I stay a piece up in every variation. So let's go back to the original position I wanted to talk about. And this, I think, is a great example of chess logic. And the fact that I had this in a slow game and couldn't figure it out means that maybe there's a little bit of a hole in my understanding of chess, because now that I understand this position a little better, I think I should have been able to figure it out. So the question is, you're in a tactical situation like this, you're a piece up and you want to preserve it, or you have some clear goal, you should really be able to figure it out using logic. And so the logic would work like this. First of all, I know I want to move the queen so that I can unpin this bishop. So I have a goal in mind. My goal is to move the queen. There's no target, so that creates a new goal, which is to create a target for the queen. And how do I create a target? I could, as I mentioned, maybe I could sacrifice something to open up a line to his king so I can move the queen with check. But that doesn't seem to apply in this case. But there was a way for me to create a loose piece on the board with that rook to d1 move. And then that's kind of the goal-directed approach. And then you also have to look at what are all of your captures, your checks, and your threats, because those are the things that you can use. Those are kind of the tools at hand. So one idea you have in mind is I'm looking for a way to move this queen with tempo. And the other idea you have in mind is Well, I have an exchange here that I can make. And let's see, what are the effects of that exchange? So if you start thinking about it that way, taking off that knight makes the bishop a little more secure, and also opens up a file towards this bishop, and you can counterpin that bishop. And then with those two ideas, maybe you can put the whole thing together. So the sequence goes like this. Bishop takes, pawn takes, rook here. And now, no matter what black does to increase the pressure on your bishop, you can transfer your attention to his bishop. You've turned that into a loose piece. So you've given your queen this move it needs to unpin. Anyway, I thought that was a very interesting tactical sequence. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.